Here's something your brain is embarrassingly bad at. It does not track happiness. There's no little system in the back going, hey, this is making you miserable. Maybe stop. That's not what it does. What it tracks, obsessively, constantly, is familiarity. Have we felt this before? And if the answer is yes, even if before felt like anxiety, confusion, and emotional damage in a nice outfit, your brain quietly files it under safe enough. Which means the part of your brain that was supposed to protect you may have been protecting you from leaving the exact relationship that was hurting you. On purpose. Congratulations. You were being guarded by the world's worst bodyguard. And in real life, it usually looks painfully normal. They're awful most of the time. Then, suddenly perfect. Just long enough to reset the whole thing. Cold, then warm. Attentive, then gone. They say something that makes you feel small, and then 3 days later, they become the exact version of themselves that made you fall for them in the first place. And you think, okay, there you are. This is the real version. This is who they actually are. And then they disappear again. And you tell your friends you're confused. But a lot of the time, you're not confused. You're hooked. That's different. Confused means, I don't understand what's happening. Hooked means, I understand exactly what's happening, and I still care way too much about the next time it might feel good again. That distinction matters, and this is a wiring problem. Psychologists have a term for it, intermittent reinforcement, which is also why slot machines work, and why you keep refreshing a page when you're waiting for important news. Same mechanism, just wearing someone's face. And here's the ugly part. Inconsistent reward doesn't weaken a behavior, it strengthens it. If someone is kind to you every time, your brain adapts. But if they're kind only sometimes, randomly, unpredictably, your brain doesn't settle. It waits. It watches. It keeps trying. Your brain thinks this is a puzzle, and it gets obsessed with solving it. Let's talk about dopamine, not the fake internet version, the real one. Most people think dopamine is about pleasure. It's not, exactly. Dopamine spikes hardest not when you get the reward, but when you might get it. That's why inconsistency is so powerful. If someone is kind every time, your brain adapts. But if they're kind only sometimes, randomly, unpredictably, your brain keeps chasing it. That's what intermittent reinforcement does. It turns uncertainty into obsession. So now every text becomes a slot machine pull. Maybe they'll reply. Maybe they'll explain. Maybe this is the moment they become the good version again. And your brain gets hooked on the maybe. Not just on them, on the almost. Almost clarity. Almost closeness. Almost getting back to the part that felt good. And once that loop starts, things get expensive. Because now leaving doesn't just feel sad, it feels like losing something valuable. Not just the person, the time, the hope, the version of you that existed with them. So you stay. And if you stay long enough, your baseline shifts. The bad thing stops feeling shocking, then stops feeling unusual, then just starts feeling normal. That's how people end up saying, it's fine, and meaning it. Not because it's fine, but because this is the emotional weather now. Then your brain does one more helpful little disaster. It rewrites the story because it hates holding two ideas at the same time. I'm smart and I've stayed in something bad for me for too long. So it finds reasons, context, potential, excuses. Not because you're stupid, because your brain is trying to protect your self-image with the same broken logic it used to protect you with familiarity. But even all of that only explains how you stay. It doesn't explain why this person felt right in the first place. And that's the part that matters. Because your brain learns very early what love is supposed to feel like. Not from advice, from experience, from the first people who gave it to you. The pattern, the rhythm, the way care arrived. Consistently, inconsistently, warmly, conditionally. Whatever that felt like, your nervous system starts treating it as normal. As the template. So if love first felt unpredictable, distant, inconsistent, your brain didn't learn that this was unhealthy. It learned, This is what love feels like. So later, when someone gives you that same pattern again, you often don't feel alarm, you feel recognition. And that's the trap. Because familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar peace. The relationship didn't feel right because it was healthy. It felt right because your brain had met this pattern before. So, this is the system. A brain that tracks familiarity more carefully than happiness. A reward system that feeds on uncertainty. A baseline that quietly shifts. And an old template that keeps whispering, "This is what love feels like." That's why staying can feel so reasonable even when it's hurting you. You weren't just confused. You weren't protected by a brain that learned what safe felt like a long time ago and never got the update that this specific kind of pain was never safety in the first place. If your body already knows it's time to leave, drop a and watch the next video.